If you are a crafter and you are not a hoarder, I applaud you and I envy you. For everyone else who is like me, let's dive into some ways we can stop hoarding and start intentionally planning our purchases for the crafts we plan to make and sell. Here's the truth. There is a difference between intentional purchasing and collecting. If you are purchasing something because it's cute or because it's on sale or because you want to get a really good deal because you might need it someday, that is collecting. And collecting is fine until it turns into hoarding. And the reason that that is a problem is because the more that you hoard, the more that you collect, the less organization that you're able to have. There's just no way to keep up. And if you can't keep up, what ends up happening is you have a craft room that is so overloaded, just like how we talked about in our craft fair displays. And then you don't even have the ability to have your mind clear and ready to create. This is one of the biggest reasons why we want to move in the direction of intentional purchasing for our products. When you intentionally purchase a product, you have already made the decision on exactly why you need that item and how you will be using it in the products you plan to make and sell. That is an intentional purchase. So it really doesn't matter what the item is, whether it's paint, whether it's feathers, ribbons, whatever you end up needing for that project. If you are intentionally planning it, purchasing it, and ensuring that it works, that is the best way to plan or to purchase those items intentionally. Now, here's the thing. You want to make sure that the product you are going to make will actually be something that works. This is a challenge I have run into. I do come up with these plans and I do intentionally purchase my product. Then I get it, I start crafting, and it doesn't work. What ends up happening? I take those materials, I stash them to the side, and I'll get to them at another time. That is something that can create the hoard that you don't want, even though you've intentionally planned your purchase. Some of the ways that you can intentionally plan your purchases is to, instead of coming up with an idea that just randomly pops in your head, although this can be very helpful in some cases, so I'm not trying to discourage you from doing that, but it's better to kind of think, especially around this Q4 time, you want to really intentionally plan items and products that you know will sell. I love Halloween. I love fall products. I love crafting those things. However, I do not do a craft show or necessarily have the kind of clientele on my website who would purchase those items. I have tried and it has not been successful. I have now learned that crafting for those holidays, especially marketing that on my YouTube channel, really isn't going to be something that I'm going to do anymore because it's not necessarily ultimately getting me what I want in the end, which I want to drive traffic to my website. I want to drive traffic to my shows. I don't necessarily need to be crafting things for Halloween because I don't have a craft show around that time. While it will decorate my house for a couple, like what, a month of the year, it's not necessarily something that I want to continue. So there's always a fine line between crafting what you want to craft and intentionally crafting items you know you will sell. So that is something to consider when you're looking at the intentional purchases you plan to make. With that in mind, you want to track what actually sells. Look at your inventory, track those trends, and then capitalize on that. We all craft with emotion. We all craft what we love. But if you know that, let's say, for example, your one style of ornament is outselling all the other ones, even though you really want to make this other one because you just got the brand new IOD release and you really want to try this new thing, it doesn't mean you can't try it, but make sure you're intentionally crafting the stuff that you know will be a great seller for your website as well. And if you start to notice that that previous bestseller isn't selling as well, then you know you do need to kind of either level it up or find a way to change it or come up with a whole new product. That's the best way to intentionally purchase and plan your items and avoid that unwanted hoard that you end up creating when something doesn't work for you. Another thing that will keep you from avoiding that hoard that you do not want to create in your craft space is to find a craft, style it, practice it. Once you figure it out, make sure you're purchasing the right products for it. And what I mean by that is One thing that I think we all fall into is wanting to get the low cost supplies to create a high quality item. And it is excellent to do that. It is always valuable to do that. However, there are times where the low cost supplies will in fact make your high quality item not look so high quality. So consider what paints you're going to use, what stamps you're going to use, what decoupage paper, whatever it is that you craft. If you are into fabric, what kind of fabric you use. So pick those things carefully and know that if you have to level up the quality of the supplies that you use, that's okay because it's better to do that than to purchase those less expensive paints, for example, and then have your project not look as nice and then it just doesn't sell as well. I know that for me, although I understand that folk art paint and apple barrel paint are paints that are very nice paints. They're great. They come in a variety of colors, and that's wonderful. I have an entire video as well as like a tutorial that you can download on my website about the 10 best paints or how to choose paint. And while I have, benefits and drawbacks to all of them, I always lean on what I know to be the quality brands that work for me every time. And that would be the DIY paint, Fusion paint, and Dixie Belle paint. Those are the three that I tend to use on all of the crafts that I make and sell. They each have their own benefits. And I really enjoy using them because I know that I'm not going to sit there frustrated with the quality of the paint and how it turns out. I won't have to worry about the chipping if that's not what I'm going for. And I don't have to paint like 5 coats before I get the coverage that I want. Really consider that. If you need to level up your craft paint or your craft supply and use a more quality brand, that is going to benefit you in the end and also save you money because you're not using stuff that will end up being just tossed to the side in your craft room. Another great example here. I know that IOD is a very expensive line when it comes to molds, stamps, transfers. I get it. I'm not unaware of that. And I understand that here we are trying to make easy, budget friendly types of crafts. However, I previously, before really investigating further, tried to save money by buying molds on Amazon that I thought looked similar to what the IOD version was. And I will tell you, the quality of those molds are not very effective. They do not end up providing me what I'd like to see in the end. And while you can use them, and you've seen me use them before as well, I will, but I do not lean on them the way that I lean on my IOD molds. And those IOD molds, they are expensive, but you buy one of those molds and that thing will last you for years. You can use it with resin, you can use it with clay, and you get very quality results.
I also want to quickly point out that my friend Julie over at Julie's Designs and Signs has a few of last year's stamps and molds available on her website at a really good discount. So head on over to juliesdesignsandsigns.com. I will have an affiliate link in my description box.
So consider that if you are looking at using a mold or a stamp or a transfer and you are thinking, oh, well, IOD is way too expensive. I don't disagree. Figure out what you can use that you can replicate year after year or for multiple items and be able to duplicate it and batch things out. And then find that one that you love. Try the one when it works well for you, because I know it will. Then you can look at purchasing more from the line. Another thing you can consider when you're thinking about intentionally purchasing the products that you use is kind of dividing up your craft supplies into 3 categories: evergreen purchases, the kind of warning sign purchases, so purchase with intention, and then the red flag ones, the ones that you want to avoid. Let's talk about what I consider to be my green, yellow, and red items within my own craft space.
I will always choose certain things that are reusable, sustainable, quality paints, inexpensive brushes, waxes and sealers. Those are the things that I consider evergreen. My warning items are things like hot glue, resin, thrifted finds, paper, transfers. These are the things I buy with intention only, or what I will be buying with intention only going forward. I'm not saying I always did that. And then the things you really need to avoid are those cheaper version of products just because, cheaper paints, and then the bulk discounts because you end up having a bulk of something that you might not even need. I will talk more about this in a separate video. And if you'd like to hear more about this, please let me know in the comments if you would like a more detailed guide on these evergreen, warning, and avoid type of products.
Last week, we talked about how displays need to be very clean and organized in order to be visually eye-catching and appeal to the customers at your craft fair. Well, this is also going to be something that you want to think about when it comes to organizing your craft space. You want to make sure that you don't have a cluttered craft room. I know that's hilarious because that really is, I mean, how many of us try so hard not to clutter our craft room, clean everything up, and then within an hour have it all destroyed again? I get it. But if there's a way you can come up with an organizational system that allows you to clean up quicker and organize in a more efficient way, that will help you in the long run tremendously. Labeling your supplies, having things stored in an organized or in a cohesive way, meaning that you're putting all of your paints in one place, all of your wood rounds in one place, whatever. It will make it a lot easier for you to find. I cannot tell you how many times I know that I have something in my basement that I have previously purchased and I want to use on this specific product that I am making. And then I go down there and I cannot find it. And what ends up happening when you can't find it? You have to purchase it again. So, in order to avoid that, because not only is that more expensive for you, it also adds to your hoard, and you do not want to do that. So, find ways to, when you get a new product in, I know we just want to rip open that box and start using it, but if you can find a way to know exactly where you plan to store it so that you can get to it again later down the line, once you have extras or whatever, that will be a game changer for you in your future as a small business owner. Remember, supplies are not profits unless you turn them into products. So, when you find ways to intentionally plan and purchase the items you're using to make and sell your crafts, you will be able to reduce your hoard, stay more organized, and ultimately increase the success of your small business.